in crowd, and I know what the in crowd knows.
Ai, Zen. Yeah. Look, we're just gonna throw some bars in, have a bit of a laugh, have some fun. Hope you guys like it. Much love. You know it is. Come on, you irons.
Hello, good evening, and welcome back to Green Street Elites. I nearly forgot the name of my own bloody channel then. Want to welcome the man to my left, an absolute legend as far as I'm concerned. Lucas, introduce yourself, my friend.
What's up, everyone? My name is Lucas. I am from Maryland of the US of A, more specifically Annapolis, Maryland, and it's about 30, 40 minutes from our nation's capital, and I'm a diehard West Ham supporter. I love the West Ham.
Well, that's all we need, isn't it? That's all
Exactly.
we need to love the West Ham. I mean, getting onto that subject sort of kind of quickly, how did you come to become a West Ham fan? What introduced you, and what keeps you with us?
So I started, I could tell you when I started supporting, but I can't fully remember the chain of events that occurred. But I can't remember the chain of events, but I know the two things that happened. So I started supporting West Ham around the end of 2000, actually like the beginning of 2015. So when Slaven Bilic was first in charge, and the big thing that attracted me was that he was Croatian. I'm Croatian. So I was like, all right, this is badass. Like instant connection right there. And then I saw, and then these were the next two things. So I really, really, really got hooked on Mario Zarate. I thought he was a brilliant player. I loved watching him play. That was my first favorite player before I even was like Mark Noble, like whatever. I mean, I love Mark Noble, and he is one of my favorite players. But Mario Zarate, my very first favorite player. I just loved watching him kick. I just love watching him kick a ball, watching him move, and like, he just really had like no weakness in his game. It was a shame that he left, but I did love him. And then there's this one gentleman. His name's Spencer Owen. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He runs a YouTube channel, and he used to collaborate with this one YouTube channel called Copa 90. And have you ever heard of Copa 90?
Well, I've heard of that. Yeah. I mean, I've only really sort of known about the football side of the YouTubing thing since lockdown. So, you know, I'm kind of catching up, as it were.
So it's basically a football channel, and they had two channels. They had like a main channel where they just talk footy and they do like documentaries and stuff, and then they made a little mini series with some like influencers, or I don't want to call them like celebrities or anything, but they're well-known supporters on YouTube, and they did Arsenal, Liverpool, Man United, Newcastle with True Geordie, if you know who that is. But then they had one with Spencer Owen, who's a West Ham supporter, and it was just one of those videos where, I mean, you might understand, you'll probably understand like when I say this, because there's probably some things that like you've instantly connected with in your life, and it doesn't really feel like you chose it, it chose you.
Yes.
So yes, I watched the video. That. I'll link it to you later. It's a brilliant video. It makes me tear up a little bit. That's how beautiful it is. And I watched the video.
I look forward to watching that now. No?
I watched it, and it's called "This Is Why I Love West Ham." And he just talks about his story on how why he loves West Ham, like where he grew up, yada yada yada. And then once he started talking about West Ham, it just like that was my like spiritual moment. And I was like, I really love this club. And
hmm
it
You kind of
just,
felt like he was talking to you personally.
yeah. And like I said, it was just one of those moments where it just felt like West Ham chose me. I didn't really choose them. And
hmm
explaining that to like American friends, American footy supporters, they don't really understand that. Obviously, because like most of them are not West Ham fans. Like I'm blessed
hmm
to be friends with you lot. Um, we have a supporters group in DC and Baltimore, Maryland,
hmm
which has a good amount of people. DC, we have about 40 to 50 people in our WhatsApp. We've had some big show outs before. The Baltimore, Maryland location, they've got about like
Brilliant.
20 members. So, but like
Yeah.
all my close friends and then other friends that are footy fans, like they don't really have, from what I've heard, they don't really have the same connection as I do, that I feel like, and they don't really understand when I tell them like West Ham chose me, I didn't choose them.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's basically how it came about. The Slaven Bilic Croatian connection, I loved that instantly because I've always been
hmm
like prideful of being Croatian. And then Mario Zarate, absolutely loved him. And then
Yeah.
the Spencer Owen video on Copa 90, why I love West Ham. Those were basically the three things that turned me into a lunatic for life.
Yeah, well, that's the sign of a true West Ham fan when you can admit your lunacy.
And
You know,
I love the fan base as much as it gets incredibly toxic over
yeah,
certain things.
yeah,
Most of it is deserved, most of it is not, or most of it is, some of it isn't. But like the unity is, I mean, you. And I try to say this unbiasedly, like you really cannot name me a more unified, dedicated supporter fan base than West Ham, in my opinion. Like when people talk about the Pig Six and stuff like that, I'm
hmm
like that they're just, in my eyes, they're just a bunch of plastics. They don't, like, we live and breathe our
yeah,
club. Like
yes,
I go to
indeed.
bed, I wake up every day, I think about West Ham, what's going on today, like how are they going to
hmm
ruin my day? Like that's what I do. That's
yeah,
and it could be because like I care so much about sports. They practically run my life. But I
yeah,
just feel like with other Big Six clubs, they just don't have that grip that we do.
yeah.
And and that's not
And a lot of that comes.
to discredit any other clubs. Like basically, I do not like any of the top six clubs besides really Man City. They're like the only club I don't have a big gripe with. But like that's why
Yeah,
in America I have
mm,
such massive respect for like Everton fans. I've watched a game with a Cherry fan in DC.
wow,
Brighton fans. I've already said Everton.
fantastic.
I haven't met.
That that to me is kind of that's bigger than the game. You
Yeah,
know what I mean by that? It's the fact that yourself and many other guys that are West Ham followers, fans, supporters, however you want to describe it. I watch some of the stuff that you do with Lee and the other guys on American Hammers TV and stuff. It's just I find it incredibly heartwarming that guys like yourself and to be, I don't mean to be rude, but you didn't really know about proper football
yeah.
until the turn of the century, really. I mean,
Because
there's
I've
always
only
been a football culture there, but never as big as it is
yeah.
now.
Like I said, I know exactly what you're saying because for the longest time, really all I've known at the absolute most was like the U.S. men's national team, the U.S. men or the U.S. women's national team.
World champions.
Yeah, and I didn't watch that much MLS, but I knew about it. So basically, I really just was watching the U.S. men's and women's national team when the Olympics were on, the World Cup, CONCACAF tournaments, and I love. And I'm not like a huge Olympics or international guy, but like when the World Cup comes around, like that's when I really loved watching the men's national team. Like I loved Clint Dempsey, I loved Landon Donovan. I was a huge Tim Howard guy until he became a pundit, and he just doesn't stop talking shit about West Ham. I mean, deep in my heart, I still love him. And like Jermaine Jones when he scored the screamer against Germany in the World Cup. Like,
I remember that well.
I would say that's when I was at like the beginning of my soccer stage. And my mom is a huge U.S. women's national team gal. Like she loves Abby Wambach. She loves Megan Rapinoe, Tobin Keith. She loves them all.
Rapinoe is just, for me, she epitomizes women's football. I mean, she's fantastic.
They were just so great to watch, and like that, like, and everyone has their preference of like what kind of footy they like to watch, and like the big thing about the women's national team is that like it was just so transitional. Like they the way they played, anyone could watch them. Anyone could be like, wow, they are playing some great football.
Hey, yeah, I'm a born and bred Englishman. I've, supported West Ham all my life, since I was 4 or 5, 4 really. And I've known nothing but, England and West Ham all my life. And recently, in the last sort of 3 or 4 years, maybe 5 years, I've kind of taken notice of the women's game a little more because it has become a little more popular. It's become easier to access with the internet and stuff, and I've become quite a fan of the women's game.
And just like time, it starts to get better. Like the players start to get more skillful. Not saying that they already weren't, but like the game itself is always being influenced, and it's it's going to influence everyone, whether you're a male, female, whoever. Whatever game you're playing, there's always going to be an influence.
I mean, like a few years ago in the UK, we had, it was always Arsenal had won this and Arsenal had won that, and Arsenal had, taken this title and so on and so forth. And the Arsenal women's team were the team to beat worldwide, not just in the UK.
Yeah,
they were the women's team to beat. And that's now changed because of the culture of the game has changed, because it's become more socially acceptable for women to play the game. I've never, ever been against women playing the game, ever in my lifetime. But, there are many that are. But it's now become a lot more socially acceptable. And as you said, the game has become a lot more enjoyable to watch because of the skill and the ability that the girls now have. I mean, we have a young lady in the West Ham ladies team. Her name's Yui Hasegawa, and she's a Japanese girl.
She's brilliant.
And I promise you this: if she's not the women's footballer of the year this year or next year, I'll eat my own hat. The girl is incredible, and I'm not saying that just because she wears claret and blue. I mean, she could quite easily play in a lower league men's game, and I say that kind of with a little sort of like a sadness in my heart, because I feel that she could probably play championship football, but I'm probably wrong. You know what I mean?
You gotta back our own.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, like when I get invited on to do things like player ratings and stuff, I'm usually fairly generous.
Yeah.
But that's because I have such a love of the game that you've only got to pass to someone that gets an assist. And for me, you're probably one of the better players on the pitch, because I've always said, I do watch the ball, but not very often. I kind of watch the players away from the ball, off the ball, which is why I'm such a big Declan Rice fan, and B, I'm a massive Declan Rice protector. When people say, "Oh, he's overrated" and this and that, my instant answer is, "Do you watch him?"
Oh yeah.
And they would say, "Well, yeah, he played against whatever team they support. Let's just use Chelsea as the example. He played against Chelsea, 2 weeks ago, and okay, blah blah blah, and he did all right, but he's overrated." I said, I always say, look, watch him week out, week in, week out. It's not what he does in one game; it's what he does throughout the season. That's what you've got to understand about Declan Rice. He is a modern day, and I'm going to say it again. I'll probably get criticised for this, but he is a modern day Bobby Moore. He isn't quite as good as Bobby Moore was at the job that he did, but he's definitely getting there. I can see Declan Rice being England captain. I can see once he retires, I can see him becoming the national team coach or manager. He has so much potential, and I love the guy. I absolutely love him, but he shouldn't get hammer of the year this year. Not for me.
He's like one of those. He's one of those players where it's like it's like he should, but he can't win it every time. You feel bad that no one else wins it.
But there is another contender this year, in my opinion, anyway. And one or two other people that I've spoken to have agreed. But I think that Jared Bowen is probably the most improved player in the Premiership this year, not just at West Ham.
I wouldn't hate it. I mean, he now has 21 goals and assists combined in all competitions this season.
Yeah,
more than any other Englishman, and he's
only
behind Mo Salah.
Yeah, I know, and I put my money on Ben Rama being that man this year. I actually put a bet on right at the beginning of the season that it would be Ben Rama, and I wish I'd chosen Bowen now, because I was undecided when I went and put the bet on.
Still time, Budgie. Still time.
Well, yeah, but the thing is that the odds I won't get the odds that I had at the beginning of the season. I mean, the odd I think it was 16-1 for Ben Rama to get 10 goals or more this season. That was the bet that I put on. If that had been Bowen, I think I'd have probably got somewhere around 14-1. But even 14-1 is much better than the 6 that they're offering now.
Yes, it is.
They're offering 6-1 for him to be the highest goal scorer in the Premiership. 6-1. That's Corals, by the way. And that was yesterday. I did have a look. Okay, so I have another question for you then, Lucas. We found out how you got involved with West Ham and what kind of drew you to us. What keeps you with West Ham?
I really have no idea. God, Jesus, I don't know, because it's a struggle, man. There's a great saying. It's called beauty in the struggle. Yes. Something beautiful in the struggle. And I don't know. West Ham always seems like a full circle. West Ham is like a full circle moment to me every other day. Like what keeps you staying? Like fortune's always hiding. When we don't expect it, something happens where it's like, God, I love this club. But then there's obviously moments where it's like, why do I even fucking bother? And
now that phrase in itself is the mark of a true West Ham fan. Please continue.
And like what I hate like comparing to other clubs and like top 6 clubs, but like people really don't understand. Like, don't get me wrong, like Manchester United's had a really tough, not really tough. comparing to us, but they've had a tough year more than usual. But like,
Yeah.
This is the thing. They have resources. We do not have resources. They have a shit ton of money. We do not. So like when
Yeah.
we're struggling, we're struggling. We don't have most of the time we do not have an answer. We don't have a resource to help ourselves.
Yeah.
As
And to look for the answer, we always have to look within.
yeah,
We can't
exactly.
look outside of the
Like with
box,
Aston Villa, who is nowhere near obviously Big Six. They are a similar club to us, but like they at least have money. They have resources.
Yes, they do.
We don't know what resources are.
No,
So
no, that's very true. But I mean, that may change, with
hopefully,
with the introduction of Kretinsky, Daniel Kretinsky. He gives me the impression that he will bring about a change for the better.
I want him to give us a feeling that we don't know about.
Yeah,
some stability
exactly that.
financially.
I mean, yeah, okay. I mean, we'll just use this name as a kind of like an example.
Okay.
But up until this point, up until the point where I feel that we are now actually a club to be considered, by other clubs and by the bigger clubs around Europe specifically. We are a club now to be considered. We're unbeaten in Europa this year.
Yeah.
No, as far as I'm aware, and I may be wrong, but as far as I'm aware, no other Virgin club. By that I mean, it's our first season in Europa. No other club have gone into that competition and come out with as many points at the end of the group stage.
And there's not a lot of
clubs. I think that's a record now, and I think that we hold that.
And there's not a lot of clubs that are obviously outside the top six that are like, I don't want to say building towards like the position we're in, but like there's not many that are touted to like get in our type of situation. Like the closest one I can think of is Wolves, and I really respect and enjoy Wolves. They are a proper club. They do things the right way, and
they are a traditional club still. Like ourselves.
I've heard some things about their ground. I heard they are proper rowdy. Proper.
Oh gosh. Well, they certainly were back in the 80s. Yeah.
But
I can't speak for now, but they were.
Another big thing that like really always makes me come back. Like I'm a huge respect guy. Like not like for personal reasons, but like I want people to respect this club because for a very long time, I mean, you could probably say since 94, 95, maybe, after, like, obviously we won the FA Cup in 86 with a great squad, some great players. But like the mid 90s, I mean, we started turning in, I don't want to say turn into a joke, but like that's when everything kind of started to turn against us. And then like obviously you progress through the years, like things happen at this club. GSB by the club, and then we practically are becoming the butt of every joke. We're a meme every other
massive
day.
Non-achievers.
Yes, and again, like no one wants to be the butt of a joke every single day, especially when it comes to the media, yada yada yada. But like the big thing that keeps me coming back is like I just want this club to be respected to what I know it deserves, and there's a bunch of reasons why I come back. Like we might get into it later, but like just a bunch of moments, a lot of it. That's what it mainly is: moments that keep you here.
And we will get to moments.
And
definitely.
I want West Ham to be respected to the fullest degree and fulfill the potential I know it has, and that's why 90% of our supporters, I know, get so angry when certain things happen, because we know what this club can be. We know what it stands for, and when certain things happen or certain things don't go our way that should, it's
Yeah.
it's gut wrenching. Like, it physically makes us sick.
Yes, indeed it does. And
We
there's
don't just turn off the telly and move on with our day. Like, it
no,
takes me about 4 or 5 days to get over a loss, unless we have a match in 2 days.
yes, exactly that. And again, a true sign of a true West Ham supporter. That's exactly how we are. That's exactly what we're like in the UK. We kind of dwell on the negatives, and we
It's
don't
hard not to.
enjoy the positives as much as I feel that we should. I mean, the fact that we finished 5th last season, we kind of we kind of mention it from time to time, but I think we should celebrate it a little more.
Definitely under the circumstances, and even this season, if
Look
we
at the
if we
modern
somehow
game.
finish 6th or 5th, even top 7, and we got Europa Conference League, I would be so happy. I really
Me
would.
too. Me too. But I actually feel that we have a very, very good chance of winning the Europa this year. I feel that, listen, Barcelona have dropped out of the Champions League into the Europa. I say bring them on.
Yes.
At this moment in time, they're a wounded animal.
I want them. I want them
Me
bad.
too. Me too, Lucas. Hey, listen, we'll do a watch along together or something if we get them. How about that? That would be a bit of a giggle, wouldn't it?
I'm getting my passport ready, so
Oh,
I
mate, we'll
could
do a
be
watch
there.
along from the stadium.
I'm trying to
That'd
be
be
in
great.
Seville. I'm trying to be in Seville, Budgie.
Yeah, that would be brilliant. That would be great. I would really like to go as well myself, and the thing is, I don't earn great money, and I don't have money behind me. So I go to games. I've been to 5 games this season, all home games. But I haven't been since 1986. The last game I went to was the last game of the 85-86 season, and I do believe it was West Brom. I'm not 100% on that, but I think it was West Brom that we played. It was at home, and that was the last game I went to. I mean, my twins were born not long after. And life got in the way of football, really, to be fair. And then I went to the London Stadium. The first game that I went to was the 2-2 draw with Crystal Palace this season. And a lot of people were sort of asked me the question, how did I feel about the London Stadium? Did I enjoy the experience, etc., etc., etc.? Well, let me tell you, I've enjoyed every single moment of every single day that I've been involved in being a part of the crowd at the London Stadium. Right from even, I'm a nervous public transport user. If I use public transport, I really don't like it. I have this self-confidence issue which really affects me when I'm on public transport. But I got on a train and I met up with Happy Hammerette at Stratford Station. We were on the phone for most of my journey because I was such a nervous traveller. And, she kind of got me through that and so on and so forth. Went to the game. Okay, it was a draw. I saw 4 good goals on the day. Really enjoyed the day. We had a few beers before and a few beers afterwards. Had a crazy, crazy evening. Got as drunk as the sack. Don't remember getting home. But the next day made me want to go again, and as I say, I've been 5 times, been to 1 Europa game, which was the Dinamo Zagreb. No,
The first
no, not Dinamo Zagreb. It was the
was it
Rapid Vienna game.
Rapid Vienna.
Rapid Vienna. Great game. What a game to go to. The atmosphere was absolutely beautiful, and people, as I said, people have asked me how do I feel about the stadium compared to Upton Park. Well, what they've got to remember is there's like 30 years between games for me, or
Yeah.
more. It's 30 years, so it's I've had 30 years to forget what the atmosphere was like at Upton Park. Although I haven't, I still remember every game I've been to, kind of, you know. But that 30-year gap gave me the opportunity to look at West Ham as it is now
Yeah.
in a completely different light and
Almost like a
to
hard
enjoy.
reset.
Yeah, exactly that. Yes, exactly that. And you know, it's been a fantastic experience. I want to go to more games. I shall go to more games. I shall add my name to the list of people waiting for a season ticket. You know, I've got the bug again, Lucas. You know, um, have, and speaking of which, have you actually seen West Ham play live? You know,
I
in a
have
stadium.
not, and I've always wanted to, but I've been kind of I've felt the same as the majority of people when we move stadium. And again, it's like another thing I really fell in love with. Obviously, I love the supporters. I love our fan base, and just I mean, nothing really beats like a nice proper ground. And when you establish a reputation like we have, when like nobody wants to come here, people
Yes,
fear coming here. Like that's just something that gets your bones tingling, put some hair on your chest. It's like black coffee. Just really
yes.
get you up, get you ready. And I've talked to a lot of people. I've They've shared their experiences and stuff. I've listened to a bunch, and some like obviously over here you got to think and try and feel what they're telling you. And I mean, Upton Park just sound I mean, it was pretty much a church. It is a church, and when you move people from their church and their place of religion, their place of prayer, it is 99.9% of the time not going to be a good thing. It's going to be very
Mm,
difficult to
yes,
to get
yeah.
get people behind it. And I mean, and like I said, ever since I started supporting, all I've known is Upton Park and the moments that I've seen. And like you said, we'll get onto it later. But I mean,
Mm,
like ever since the last game at Upton Park and that match, like I still haven't gotten over it personally. I'm tearing up a little bit thinking about the last match, but like
yeah.
I'm still not over it. I still don't like the ground, but I love what you say, because in the same way, like I love experiences, and people make experiences, whether
Mm,
that be your friends, your family, supporters, the
yeah,
players, because
yeah.
obviously they need to provide
Mhm.
you a good time. I don't want to
Yeah.
lose, but
I mean, I've experienced every single stand at the London Stadium. I can't say that I did that at Upton Park. I
yeah,
mean,
and
there were two stands that I would frequent, and that was it. You know, quite often I would get in the chicken run, and
which
then I would be
I've heard
on the
fantastic
West Bank.
stories.
Oh, the chicken run was great. I loved it. Absolutely loved it in there. It was definitely not for the light-hearted. You know, um, if you've got any kind of issues with um, any form of banter,
Yeah, you're not
the
gonna make
chicken
it.
run the chicken run wasn't for you. It really wasn't. But if you've got a kind of a sense of humour that
Yeah,
would allow you to laugh at stuff that you wouldn't allow people to say
exactly.
to
Yeah.
your friends, which I have. Um, I kind of I believe that you have to be a genuine person to have enjoyed Chicken Run. You
Yeah,
know,
and
you have
again,
to.
that and stuff like that, like, that's what really still like I said, I've never been there. I've always wanted to,
Mhm,
and regret never going, but, like, stuff like that, stories like that, just certain sections of a ground like that, like,
mhm.
I still like I said, it's still hard for me to get behind the London Stadium because, again, it's just at the end of the day, to me, it's not a football ground. But are they
Yeah.
trying? Yes, and really, I appreciate that. But to me,
I mean,
progress won't be
I,
made until they move those front seats onto the
yeah,
pitch.
yeah, okay, I agree with that to a point, but
But it won't happen.
as a right, all I knew was Upton Park.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't live anywhere near the stadium. I live down by Gatwick Airport, which is probably best part of 50 miles away from the stadium, Upton Park Stadium. So, for me to get there, it was always travelling on the day. It was almost like an away game every time I went to see West Ham. Because, I would have to get more than one train. I would have to get a train into London, then I would have to get the tube from, Victoria across the city to Upton Park, etc. So it was always like an away day for me. So I suppose my experiences would be different to the likes, say, Kieran, for example, or Stel, or Anton, or an Anton story would probably be very similar to mine. But like Russ, for example, on West Ham Network, he actually works at the stadium. He's the official DJ of the stadium, isn't he? And he has been for a number of years, a good number of years. So for him, like Upton Park or London Stadium, it's home. That's where he worked from. That's where his club play.
Yeah.
I would like to actually have a chat with him to find out how he felt about the move. That would be quite an interesting story, I believe. But like for me, as I said, there's a 30-ish year gap between my experience in a stadium watching West Ham. I actually do enjoy the London Stadium. There is one issue for me, and that is that there's no unison with chants and singing. It's pockets of people around,
which is
the
a huge
stadium.
it's a huge deal. Even if it's just the one, like, say if it is the one issue that you personally have, that's a ginormous issue.
It is really, to be honest with you, Lucas. But the thing is, it hasn't marred my experiences when I've been at the stadium. Because obviously, as I said, there are pockets of people singing certain songs, and that can depend on what player is where on the pitch. As you know, there are we love to have a song about certain players and so on and so forth. But it hasn't marred my experience, because while you're in that pocket of people, and I've had tickets offered to me. I've obtained my tickets from various sources. So I've been, as I said, I've been on all four stands in the ground, and I've been amongst different people. And there are season ticket holders in every one of the stands around the ground. So, these guys that were around me, guys and girls, sorry, and kids that were around me are, they're season ticket holders. They're diehard. They have them seats every week, and they have their certain songs that they sing, which is completely different to what's happening on the other side of the stadium, or down the other end of the stadium. But it's still enjoyable because you get involved with it, and it kind of makes the atmosphere feel realistic, and that's what is missing from a lot of games that I have been to in the past. Like, for example, we always used to say that going to not the Emirates, because that's not the ground they used to play at, is it? What was the Arsenal ground before the
Highbury?
Emirates? It was Highbury. Thank you. Yes. And look, I'm being educated again by an American. Great, I love it. But I mean, we used to go to Highbury, and we used to sort of and one of the songs that we used to sing was, like when we scored against any other team, we used to sing like, "You're not singing anymore." That was one of the favourite songs that we used to sing. But like when we used to go to Highbury, even before the game start, we would like sing things like "You're not singing anyway," or "You're not going to sing, you're not going to sing, you're not going to sing." And it was the way Arsenal used to be. There never used to be that much of an atmosphere at Highbury, because I don't think they ever knew what a football fan chant was,
That's how I feel about Liverpool. They go silent after singing "Never Walk Alone."
Yeah. I mean, but to be fair, when you're in Anfield and they sing that,
it's definite.
There is a moment you need the toilet. I promise you, there is, because what is it? 53,000, 52,000 seater. 52,000 people in a stadium, and 48,000 of them are all singing one song. It's quite intimidating.